Here we go, Amber. Let's see. Look at all these people coming in. This is awesome. Hello, Heather. I got your email in here. We're going to look at that one. Amanda, I got your email in here. We're looking at that one today, too. Hey, Carrie, you didn't send me any of your emails to look at. Who else? Pat, I got your email. We're looking at that today. Sarah, I think yours is in here too. We got a whole bunch of people in here and we're going to have some fun. Do you guys know Amber? She is one of my favorite new friends. Amber and we became friends, what, a year ago, Amber?
Yeah. Met for the first time now, just ASCE annual conference last August.
That's what it was. I was
Hmm.
wondering where we met. All right, so listen, you know the drill with the webinars I like to do. I don't know. What would we call this? It's not a webinar. It's like we're going to call this a critique, a slam session. That's what this
We
is.
had a lot of good to say though too.
Oh
So
yeah,
it's not bad.
yeah. I want to be very clear. This is not we are not here to slam, although that would be fun. Um, I think you guys would probably have fun slamming your own emails. Um, no, we are not here to slam. We are here to talk about alternatives. So let me organize a few things here while we wait for everybody to come in. While I'm doing that, if you could, in the chat, you know how much I like to see you guys all chat here. If you could tell us what organization you're with and what role you're in, I think that's relevant. Um, and while you're doing that, I really want to be able to see all the chats while I share my screen. All right. So while you're checking in and telling us who you are and what organization you're with, thank you for that. Oh gosh, I see so many good people. Hey, Lynn from Ohio Farm Bureau. Hey, Lynn, I just interviewed in a podcast I do. I interviewed somebody who owns a yogurt company and her fourth generation dairy farm in Pennsylvania, not too far from you guys. And we talked about the Pennsylvania Farm Bureau. That's neither here nor there. So we're here. I'm Dave Will. For those of you that I don't know, I think I know most of you. Um, for those of you that I don't know, I'm Dave Will. I'm the co-founder of Prop Fuel and the CEO of Prop Fuel. I like to meet with you guys on a regular basis just to talk about the best way to engage. And I invited my friend Amber with me today. Amber is with a company called Email Maven. We're going to introduce our companies. Again, I think you know Prop Fuel for the most part, but I'm going to tell you who we are again. Amber's going to tell you a little bit about Email Maven. But before we do that, let's talk about the rundown today. We're just going to go through some emails. That's what it comes down to. Many of you sent me some emails. We took some of them. We're going to put them up on the screen. And this is very, very subjective, right? So I used to, back in grad school, I remember I used to critique resumes for undergraduate students. I remember looking at resumes. First thing I'd always tell them was like, look, you're going to get 15 different opinions from 15 different people when looking at these resumes. And the same is true with your emails. So if something I say or something Amber says resonates, great. If not, well, take it with a grain of salt. Amber, anything to add to that?
No, I think just we love looking at emails. I love looking at emails. We do this all day, every day, Dave and I. So we're excited to talk about it.
Sadly, I do. Um,
Me too.
although I come at things, and you guys will see this, I come at things through a very, very subjective lens. Right.
Mhm.
I'm looking at emails not from a broadcast perspective. So there's two kinds of emails here. There's the broadcast when you got to tell somebody something. And then all of my friends out here that are using Propule know that sometimes you need an exchange. You got to listen. You want to capture some insight so that you can deliver a more relevant message. And you're not going to do that all the time. You just cannot constantly be asking people to answer questions. It's just too much. I describe that as a dark chocolate. So like Propule is the dark chocolate to the dish of pasta that you're getting in HubSpot or in Forms or some other broadcast system. We're going to look at both kinds of emails and offer some insights on those. You ready to go? You want to
Ready.
start? All right, let's
Do
do
it.
this. I'm going to share my screen. I hope that's a good enough introduction. Um, I introduced who we are. Let's see. Tell us a little bit about Email Maven before we get into this.
So we are an agency that provide association services,
Whoops.
specifically
Sorry.
all things email.
Anyway,
So I'm Amber Worthen. I'm the founder and CEO of Email Maven, and I came out of a large trade association managing their email and website, and just found a hole in the market that
can't we say who it is?
APTA, the American
Yeah.
Physical Therapy Association.
Yep.
Yeah. And we came out and just said, association staff are overworked and the email experts, my fellow email experts, need a little love sometimes. So we help associations get all their email platform work done by email experts. I have a team of association email experts that we go in and we do audits. We help people move email platforms, we staff. And my favorite is email innovation. We take a look at what you're doing and say, let's make it even better. So let's go.
This is incredible. Like I'm looking through the list of people here. I don't think I see very many. This is a change of pace. I don't see very many people here that are not using prop fuel. So this is almost like a client roundtable here. I almost wish we opened it up so you guys could talk. I don't even need to go through this. You guys all know what prop fuel is, but I will. Prop fuel is about member insight and engagement. Um, I'd be curious. Can you tell me? I'm trying to figure this out. Would you describe PropFuel more as an insight system or an engagement system if you had to pick? And I struggle with that a little bit. I think we utilize insight to deliver engagement, but I'd
Mhm.
be curious what you guys think. Insight or engagement for those of you that are using Jamie Insight, Janet
I say
engagement.
engagement.
Super interesting. All
Mm.
right, ask, capture, act methodology. Of course, again, I'm gonna stop here, Lisa. Both depends on what question. Ah, yes, Amanda. Depends on what question you're asking. Sometimes you're trying to gauge. Amanda does this quiz. That would be pure engagement, right? But sometimes you're trying to capture profile data and write it back to the database. That would be more data or insight. All right, fair enough. Let's start with this. We're going to be going through, I think we found there were four types of emails. We have but I think we moved the event to the end, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah, okay. So I should have reordered this. So we're going to start with a new member onboarding. We're going to go into some informational emails. Newsletter is one of them. And we're going to do some renewals and a lapsed member. And then we have three event registrations. If we have time, we're going to go through those. I may share if we have time at the end, I may share some emails that I think are good examples of what people have done. Given the audience, though, I really don't think I have to do that. I think you guys are pretty sophisticated with your use of Propule already. Dark chocolate, you like that, Rodrigo? The comparison of Propule to dark chocolate. Um, yeah, because sincerely,
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Propule, and
Hope so.
but Amber, we don't want to overstimulate our members, right? So we gotta be very, very careful with how often we use this. All right.
Mhm.
Ready to jump in the first one?
I'm ready. So
Chemical
AICHE
engineers.
and Rebecca is actually here from AICHE. So thank you
Hello,
for
Rebecca.
sending in some emails. And I've worked with AICHE for a number of years. And so they kindly let us take a look at their new member onboarding. And they have a series of four, I think it's five actually total. You can see the little bar at the bottom. They kind of give
Yeah.
you a sample preview, but we've got four of them to take a look at.
This is number one and number two. We're gonna power through these four. And so this is gonna take me now into my browser here, and we're gonna jump around here. So let me blow this up a little.
Mhm.
Um,
So we're seeing some typical work. A lot of times, the very first email coming out of a welcome or onboarding campaign is a personal welcome from someone. It's a letter saying, thank you so much for joining. Here's your member ID. Here's our services. Here's how to contact us. Pretty standard from associations.
what do you see? Any comments off the top of your head? Did you build this?
No,
One of the ones?
I
Okay.
didn't build this one. I have not built this, but I do like the very first, in the first 24 hours, being a personal touch from someone that cares. My only thing here would maybe be I love it when it's coming from the president or the organization or the CEO, especially if it's a president that's a member that gets it and can really have the personal touch.
Um, so just I actually think it's a nice looking email. And I think when you're broadcasting a message, the looks of the email matter more than when you're engaging with a question, right?
Mhm.
That's my first comment. So the looks of this, I mean, looks always matter, but I think the graphics and the visuals really matter more when you're using Informs or Real Magnet or HubSpot to capture attention. I mean, attention is what we're competing for here. So with that, I'm assuming the colleague has their name in the
Yeah, it's
scenario
their
that
real
it's
name.
it's
Yeah.
a yeah. I one other thing I really like is there's only one link here aside from the email. There's only one link. So
Mhm.
there's one call to action. Like, we're so happy to see you as a member. Welcome. Check out the member benefits. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's pretty clean. I think this is a great first email, which is funny because this is not necessarily what we recommend to our clients. And I'll show you what we recommend to our clients when they come in. But this is a pretty good traditional first email. All right, you want to go
Mhm.
to the second one?
Yes, let's do.
All right, second. How do we do this here? There we go. All right, second one.
Okay, so this one you start getting more links. Again, typical broadcast email. I just feel like this one there's a lot of links and I'm not sure where to focus, which they do have a lot going on. ASAG is a large organization doing a lot of things. But the power of segmentation on a new member welcome is critical to really narrow down who you're talking to, what they're interested in, and easily serving up to them. Here's
Yep.
the info that really applies to you.
I don't mind the first email being kind of a generic welcome. We're
Mhm.
so glad you're here. Check out our benefits. Here's your member information. Like, I actually think that's fine. Um, I don't I could see it going the other way. At some point, very, very early on, I want to know more about them.
Yes.
This is all about us, right? This is us telling the member everything we offer. We can break it out into categories. There's probably way more you
Mhm.
could. I'm sorry, who is the person here from AICHA?
Rebecca.
Hi, Rebecca. So, Rebecca, there's probably way more you could tell people, hence
Mhm.
the see more here. Uh, but at this point, this is when I want to listen. I want to be like, hey, why did you join? Or how can we help you this year? Because if you can capture that, now you can lead people down a more personalized experience. What we're doing here is we're starting to guess. Okay, we
Mhm.
don't really know you enough, so we're going to give you a whole bunch of things that we do that we hope you're interested in. Um, right off the top of my head, I'm not sure what these logos are, although I didn't read every word of this.
Mhm. It's just
So,
subsets. Like that's with
interesting
community and
branding. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, and then the only other comment I'd make here is what do you want them to do? I think what you want them to do is click on one of these. That would be my
Mhm.
guess. Or do you want them to start exploring in the community? Or do you want them to start exploring the blog? Pick one. Like, that's what I would do. And you pick one based on what it is they're interested in. The way you know what they're interested in is you ask them a question. Prop fuel. All right. I
Mhm.
want to go to the third email.
Yeah, let's do a third.
Third one. I'm sure there's a more efficient way to do this, but there we go.
So very similar. And the fourth and fifth emails are pretty similar on this too. It really comes down to we want our members to feel known and seen and that we understand them and that we love them. Like that's the gist. And so when we start out by just giving them a whole swath of information, A, it's overwhelming. I'm a business owner, I'm a working mom, I'm very busy. If I got this email, I'd be like, oh, okay.
TLDR.
I don't know what to do. I don't have time.
Yeah, TLDR, my favorite new acronym. Apparently, I'm the only one in the
I
world
didn't
that
know it.
what it
Sorry.
meant. You didn't either?
No.
All right, thank God. Every time I go to to a group now, I say TLDR because it's pretty relevant to our world, right?
Yeah.
Like oftentimes we try to put so much into an email
Hmm.
because we think like if we can get their attention, like something here has got to get their attention.
Yep.
The problem
Yep.
is it has the opposite effect. When
Yep.
you put too much into an email, instantly you lose their attention. Best case
Exactly.
scenario, people are like, you know what? I'll go back to that. I hit my little star in my Google email or I put it,
Mhm.
I make it unread and I leave it there. Do you know how many unread emails I have in my inbox because I'm going to go back to them? Something
Damn.
like 10,000. So
Me
I'm
too.
going to go back to those 10,000 emails just when I get a few minutes to do
Yeah.
it. Now, in this one in particular, the reason, Rebecca, I think we're adding so many this has got to be really hard for you guys to hear us be so critical. So please, again, take this with a grain of salt. This is not intended to bash. What we're looking for is opportunities to improve. That's all. So
Hmm.
again, I think these are really good looking emails. And from a traditional perspective, I think it's good. This is all about the education. But the reason you're putting in so many popular webinars and practical courses and oh, this is good. So what are you most interested
Interested
based
in.
on what you're interested? I'm guessing it takes you to the, let's find out. I'm guessing it takes you to
An
something
article.
relevant.
Hmm.
Um,
So it's filtered based on what they said they're interested in.
okay, that's pretty cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got
Uh,
a lot of really great resources. So at least getting them to the things that they could be interested based on what they're clicking is a great first step.
You know, what I think I would do is like eliminate all this stuff.
Yep,
This is a very prop fuel-esque, actually. This
it
this
is.
right here. Hey, what are you interested in? I think you could
Mhm.
probably come up with a more compelling question, like what topic is most challenging for you, or what do you want to learn more about? Okay, so again, here we're guessing as to what it is that people might need, or we're trying to give them so many options because we want to fit into their need, but we don't know who they are. We don't really know them. That's what this is. All
Yeah.
right. Do we want you want to take a look at the last one or
Yeah.
the fourth one? I should say it's not quite the last one.
Yeah, I think it's similar. Just being mindful of buttons. So I think the whole thing with this whole cadence is and onboarding emails in general. Number one, have them. You'll be amazed how many associations we work with that don't even have a welcome campaign. So thank you,
Yeah.
ASMG, for
Yeah.
having one.
Hmm.
Make sure that you are reviewing it regularly, checking it, updating it. Be mindful of design. As you can see in this one, there's a couple buttons that are a little off. But I like that ACG has one. I like the little bar at the bottom also that kind of tells your members like, hey, you're almost done getting these emails from us. You're almost onboarded. I think
Yeah,
that's
that's
one thing
interesting. I've never
that a lot
seen
of
featured.
associations just say, we're going to onboard you for 12 months is a frequent thing that I'm like, no, no, let's bring it on back. I like right here that I know I'm going to get 5 emails of them telling me about them. And then I know I'm onboarded in. These emails, I don't remember the exact cadence on these. Someone asked. They go out though about every 2 to 3 weeks apart after the first two are pretty close together. Like a 24-hour welcome, a couple days later is number two, and then number three, four, five go out about 2 or 3 weeks apart.
Um, just a little formatting thing. When you have three buttons, I'm assuming this is like a
Tricky.
formatting issue with maybe
Yeah.
the view or something like that. I'm sure it didn't
Just an
go out
informed
go out
formatting
like this.
issue. Yeah.
But when you have images side by side and you open it up on a phone, it's going to reformat it. It's going to look different. So I recommend having stacked images instead of side by side images. I never put images side by side anymore.
Agreed.
Just because mobile experience is way different and also different browsers and different settings in the browsers and so on. All right. There's a few comments and questions. Rebecca, you said we do have many offerings. Yes, which is why it's so important to understand the needs of your members more. So
Mhm.
here you have all these needs of your, all these benefits to offer, like all these offerings. And you have a member that has a different set of needs than this member or this member or this member. And so the trick is to match them up with the right needs. Now you're trying to do that, but I think the way you're doing that is offering tons of information up front. Some people will go for that. I think a lot of people are going to say, this is cool. I'm going to come back to this later when I have more time to digest it, which is never. All right.
Oh,
I'm gonna shut these down. By the way, so I don't forget, um, and I know you have something you want to share too. We have this book right here, this conversational, it doesn't look like a book, but it is a book. A little, I don't know, 30, 40 page book, conversational engagement ebook. If you're interested and you haven't seen this, I think if you're a client of ours, you probably got a hard copy from me when you went live. But you can download that there. Um, and I'm going to jump way, way ahead. Amber, we're not showing all these slides, by the way. These are backups in case we need it. You have, what is this that you're giving away here, Amber?
yeah. So we just believe in maximizing the use of whatever you're doing. So email best practices are critical. Just no matter what you're using, ensuring that we're using the right font sizes and text and all the things. So we've got a free download for email design best practices, and also in there, I've got a send checklist. So we don't send an email at the door that says test in the subject line or anything like that, which has happened to us all at some point.
All right, this next one is EO, Entrepreneurs Organization. Nobody actually sent this in, but I'm a member of EO. So this was my submission. I'm a huge fan of EO. Like I said, I'm a member, and actually Amber's too.
Mhm.
I belong to two associations mainly. EO, probably a few others, but EO is my number one. ASAE is my number two. This was their renewal notice to me. Now, EO has global and chapters. Now, we renew through our chapters, but global gets a piece of it and blah, blah, blah. You guys know the deal. So both global and our chapter are trying to get us to renew. And once we renew, they both get their money. So this is global's renewal notice to me. Let me blow it up a little bit. It's an international organization, so multiple languages and so on. And I hate this email. I think it's
Yeah.
awful. And I'm going to say that because they're not here. And even if they were, I know them well enough so I feel comfortable saying that. I think this is a terrible renewal notice. I didn't read it. I still haven't read it. Even critiquing it, I haven't even read it. Like, I just
Same.
don't want to read it. Something about we're moving the world forward together
Yeah.
tells me they're going to auto renew. Okay, that's good for them because they don't need me to do anything. But there's also like if I want to check it out, I can click here or this link or short video or default
Mhm.
card and blah blah blah. All right, so that's their um
A lot of proof that they're not listening, because that I feel like I did read most of that and I was like, you're making a lot of assumptions right now. What if I hated EO? They do a yearly renewal for everyone. So I haven't been talked to up to this point. I just got this email out of the cold. I might actually hate EO and you wouldn't even know it, and you're asking me for money now.
So let me show you what my chapter did. So being a part of my chapter, uh, there's a AMC that manages the Boston chapter where I live and 15 other chapters around the country, the US. And so this was really cool because they bought prop fuel from us. And one day out of the blue, I got what I got? I got this in my inbox. And it said, "Hey, EO Boston, it's go." Now they read the room, right? They know our personalities, and I'm not the only silly one in EO Boston. There's over 100 of us, and this is their notice to get us to renew. So this is a GIF, of course. There wasn't a still frame like that. This is just a screenshot of it. Say, "Hey, surprise, surprise!" That's I love how short this is. It's attention grabbing, and boom, this is really cool. And this is what we recommend for renewals. This works so well. Are you planning to renew? Yes, no, I'm not sure. Some variation of yes, no, I'm not sure. Super easy for me to respond to. Now, here's the thing. If yes, it's going to bring me to try to renew, and it's going to nurture my renewal process. If I don't renew, it's going to keep nagging me. If I
Mhm.
say no, well, that's a red flag, right? The no actually goes to the president of our chapter, and it goes to the AMC, so that they can follow up the person, try to understand what the scenario is. And then, of course, I'm not sure it's quite similar, and both of them have a different landing page they go to. But here's the thing. There's also another step this year. They don't do this every year, but they need to requalify us. So our businesses in this organization need to hit a certain threshold. And so this is the next question that comes out. It says, hey, we need 10 or 15 minutes of your time. Is this a good time to requalify? I hit no, remind me. And when you do that, it comes back another few days later and says, is this a better time? Slightly different GIF and slightly different message. So I think this is beautiful. What I love about this is it's not requiring me to do a lot, but it's giving intent.
Yeah.
It gives intent as to what my plan is, but it's not requiring me to do a heck of a lot. And if I have intent, that's way better than just having a renew now button where all you know, best case scenario is somebody clicks it and renews. If they don't click it and renew, you have no context as to what their plan is, if they're planning to renew, if they didn't see the email, if they're not planning to renew, no idea. And so that's why this is so effective and valuable. It's super simple and it tells you a lot as the association leadership.
And I think people forget about renewal. Like, hopefully, you've been selling your association for the last 10 months. This is not the time when you say, hey, you owe us $300 or whatever, to say, hey, we're actually really awesome, by the way. These are all the reasons why.
$6,500, by the way. Yeah,
Yeah, whatever it is.
$6,500 membership here.
Yeah, yours is big. It's big time. So this is saying, like, hopefully we've done a good job. We've done all the things over the last 10 months. And so we can be simple in this renewal. There's a lot of confidence in an association that does that. That's what this tells me. EO Boston knows who their members are. They've been working all year to ensure that they love everything about it and they want to stick around because their renewal rate is high.
All right, it is. Our renewal rate is like 90.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's a super high percentage. We're not quite a trade association, but it has the renewal rates of a trade association because the business pays the bill, but I am the member, not my company. Anyway, so this one is from Sarah. I saw Sarah here. Hi, Sarah. So Sarah sent me this note saying, I registered for this webinar, interested to hear ways to improve effectiveness. Below is a screenshot of the check-ins for our lapsed member winback. So let's check out Sarah's. And I think they're using PropFuel. So let's check it out. This specific check-in is sent to the member 3 months after being lapsed. So I'm assuming that, Sarah, I'm assuming you have a 3 month grace period and this is like at the end of their grace period. Is that what that means? And there are other communications sent to the member prior to this one. Assuming you mean broadcast, or are there other prop fuel questions? We have our 25 discount and so on. All right, give us a little more context about this, but here's the email. Yes, prop fuel email. Intel has the question. Super simple. Again, one of the things I want to note about, generally speaking, with prop fuel emails, the emphasis on the email is the question. There's very rarely other links. We indoctrinate you guys and we brainwash you guys into totally changing your mentality and the way you're communicating when you're using the dark chocolate here. And so in this case, there's fewer words. We're getting right to the single call to action, which is the question and the answers. So let me start with you, Amber. Do you have any input here?
My first thing is just the two yes buttons throw me off.
Yes, send
I
me the
would think
link.
you could combine those into one and say, yes, send me to more info. And then you could have the renewal form and the invoice on the same page on the next one.
Yeah. Yeah, so if they said yes, you could lead them to a branch question that then says, okay, do you need an invoice or send me a link to the renewal form? Or on the next page, you could say, here's the link to the renewal form if you need an invoice, or do you need an invoice, yes or no? So that could be an embed question. That would simplify this page a little. I think the only comment, Sarah, oh, I didn't say this before. I like headshots down here.
Mm.
I think it personalizes it. I always like emails coming from a person. Um, but I kind of like the headshots, and I meant to say that in one of the previous emails. I think it was AICHE.
Me too. If your members don't know you, just accept that they don't know anyone on staff, majority of them. So the more you can help them see you and recognize you, the better.
Okay, so this is sent. So Sarah clarified a little. We have a 2 month grace period. So that's so they're not actually lapsed until they're out of the grace period. I think there's
So it's
varying
really
language
five
on
months
that.
after.
When I say lapse, when I say lapse, I mean like their year is up and they're entering the grace period and you're lapsed once you're in your grace period. But I think different people use that language differently. All right. So at this point, this is 3 months after becoming lapsed. So it's 5 months after expiring. Very generous, by the way. Imagine if Netflix did that.
Very.
Um, Other communications being sent through prop fuel and broadcast. Okay, good. So back to my last comment here. I and this is very nitpicky. And again, I'm going to go back to all of this being subjective. Like Amber's comment about the two yeses here. I could see keeping them here. I could
Mhm.
see simplifying it. But there really are a lot of words coming from someone of my intellect. There's a lot of reading in these answers. If we can simplify, and this is an emphasis I want to make across every email, if you can cut words, cut words. If
Yep.
there's something unnecessary, and I should take my own advice, by the way, talking from a man who can't stop talking, but if you can, that's unbelievable. Here I am telling people to cut words. If you
Mhm.
can cut words, do it in an email. My dad taught me that lesson when I was writing. He was trying to teach me how to be a concise writer.
Couldn't agree more.
So anyway, I don't know how, but if you can simplify these, get these, cut these sentences in half, that'd be good. All right. Ready for a newsletter critique?
Yes.
Pat. All right.
Favorite.
So Pat sends us note saying, this is her problem email. And this is funny because Amber and well, I'm not going to give away any secrets. It's funny you call it your problem email. This is a general email sent to a targeted audience. So you're sending this to elected section officers. Uh, that has the lowest, and so this has the lowest open and click rates of all your emails. Newsletter sent out once a month and contains pertinent information to the sections, says you. In
Mhm.
the email, in the email sample attached specific calls to actions link were highlighted. Okay. All right, let's take a look at this. So this is a screenshot. This is the top and the bottom of the email. So paste this together. There's Pat. I like
Yep.
the
Look at
picture,
that
Pat.
beautiful footer. It's good. I like that we
All
can
righty.
see Pat, we can see the logos, we can see the social icons, like we just said. It's great
What
to
do you
see.
think? What are your thoughts, Amber?
So off the bat, this email design is great. I mean, when you look at this, I would say, oh, I bet this is doing pretty well. But that's where, as email marketers, we just have to stay curious and say, well, the numbers actually say otherwise. So you said that your open and click rates are some of the worst out of all your emails. To me, then that becomes a question of, is it actually pertinent information? Do they actually need it? And
That's why I said that. Comment. She says here, contains pertinent information. Does it, Pat?
yeah,
Maybe it does. I
do
don't know.
they, or is it staff that think it's pertinent information and we're just making them accept it? And I would also just say, anytime there's a newsletter like this that we want to evaluate, we look at the full communication cycle. Section members, section leaders, chapter leaders, they need a lot of info always for sure. Maybe they don't need to click on this though. And maybe they're getting it from, you might have a community where they're chatting a bunch and getting a lot of answers. You might be having monthly calls with them where they're getting a lot of info too. I just like to look at the full picture of where's all the places that you're getting info. And maybe this email is just one of the foundational pieces and they are reading it. They're just not clicking through because they're busy, right? And so they appreciate that paragraph of info and they move along.
By the way, we should have said this at the beginning. If you have feedback, God, this is fun for me. Like this is really fun for me. I'll bet a bunch of you there are sitting around saying, God, and I have things I want to say. And if you do, throw it in there. I think people, like I said, super subjective. So throw your comments in there if you have suggestions or ideas, and Amber and I'll scan them and comment on what you're saying as well.
Yeah.
I too think this, for what it is, Pat, I think it's a really good email as well, in the way that it's a newsletter, right? We
Mhm.
do newsletters too. Like we just happen to throw questions into our newsletters. You guys probably all see our newsletters where it just has a whole bunch of stuff, and then there's a question in there somewhere, maybe asking you to register for an event. Um, so the question I have here is, if you think if it's possible it's performing, it's not getting a lot of clicks because it's very possible people are satisfied with the information you're giving them. You know, that just because it's not getting clicks doesn't mean it's not valuable. You know, you're the purpose of this is to tell people things.
Mhm.
You're doing that. It's very difficult to know if this is an effective email. So, Pat, what if you asked them? What if on the next one at the top, not the bottom, at the top, you say, hey, we send these out monthly. Are these emails valuable to you? Or how valuable are these? And as a second part of that, lead them to another question that's open-ended. Says, what would make these more valuable for you?
Mhm.
And you could take a prop fuel question and embed it into your newsletter, even if you send it through Informs or MailChimp or HubSpot or wherever.
Mhm.
Um,
And I would take that the next spot too. And again, assuming I'm sure you're giving them lots of content in different places. When we're doing that, when we do have them on a Zoom or whatever, doing a poll and saying, where are you getting your most information from us right now? Always be polling people and asking where they're getting info. That's helpful.
Yeah, man. I like the idea of always asking questions. You know, I
Mhm.
do. All right, let's look at it. Oh, we're getting into our 3 event emails. By the way, I'm having a great time doing this. I hope this is valuable for you guys. I really would love to see everybody else offer some input. Yeah, Lisa, I agree. Hats off to all who bared their communication souls for this webinar, as our emails are similar in many ways, but I'm hoping to get them slowly revised. Happy to help, Lisa.
Really, though.
Um,
Everyone, all these emails are exactly what we see at every association. And I'm sure I can think of all the challenges you're saying in your brain of like, they say they want it. My CEO won't let me. This person won't do this. They always want this, blah, 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 blah. It's very typical everywhere, unfortunately. So little wins is what we're on after.
All right, so Heather used to be a Prop Fuel user, right, Heather? Can't remember where you were before this, and then you left and went to you went to IFSA, I think, ISFA. All right, so Heather, I'm in my second month at ISFA, small staff, executive director's new, so a lot of new blood. Wants an outside perspective. This is sent to all our contacts about an upcoming in-person event. So generally speaking, I'll tell you this. Would love that, Heather. Would love to work with you guys. Generally speaking, what we've discovered is that the more people in your list, the more people that receive an email, the less engaged they will be for whatever reason. I don't know. My guess is because you're talking to it's less tailored, it's less relevant to everyone. So you're going to a smaller percentage of that group to engage. All right, let's look at this email. So this is an event. Registration now open for ISFA's Fabricator Forum in Sacramento. Do you want to start or you want me to start?
You start this time.
All right. I love, and Amber and I spent a little time this morning talking through some of these things. My favorite thing about this are those 2 pictures on the bottom half of the email on the right side here. The reason I like those is it gives me a feel for what it's going to be like when I'm there. So for me, that's an emotional connection in this email. I think this falls in the TLDR category. This is where I think, Heather, you could probably cut a ton of this. And in
Mhm.
fact, I would argue that this stuff in the blue is probably enough for the initial announcement. Maybe even get rid of, you know what I would do here? Take this, move it up to the top, get rid of this stuff, get rid of home tickets and contact us. Um, and just have the single call to action register now. But here's the thing. and you know this, I don't like the register now because, again, this falls in the same category as the renewal process. Renew now, register now. If they do that, if they click on that, the only positive outcome is they click on it and actually register.
Yep.
And
Yep.
such a small percentage of people do that. So you kind of want to gain some insight. Like, what is the what's the intent here? Let's
Mhm.
make it really, really easy. Are you planning on joining us? Is this of interest? So I don't think anyone needs to know the plan yet. Maybe the location would be, well, you say in
You say
Sacramento,
that.
the date is
Mhm.
here. Like the plan's just too much information. The see full agenda, maybe I could see the agenda as one of the options. Not sure. Show me the agenda. So I think about this in terms of multiple emails. The first one's the announcement where we want to get our the people that are going to sign up right away. I'd rather capture intent here. I'd cut a ton of the stuff out. And then the next email, I might go for some of the content. What are you most interested in? Oh, if you're interested in that, we got 5 great sessions at this upcoming conference. Now you can register one of those sessions, or now are you intrigued in coming? Anyway, those are all my kind of meandering thoughts.
That's absolutely ideal. And I agree. Just overall, cutting down the text is what's going to make the biggest difference. We just need to be aware that, again, hopefully, email is just one piece of your full communication cycle around a big event like this. So they're going to get info other places, and hopefully, your website is beautiful and it's great, and they can pop around and find all the info they want. So your email doesn't need to do that job. If you can't use Prop Fuel, if you are using a broadcast Informs, Real Magnet, HubSpot, anything. You can also consider changing your call to action buttons to something that's about them. You want them to register. I want them to register because my job is requires me to make sure everyone registers. Why do they want to come? I'm ready to connect or whatever. What is the pull? Like, can't wait to see this. Consider different ways to use call to actions that talk about why they love coming. So listen to your members. Why do they love coming? That's your call to action. And also, this is a place, a very practical AI tip. This is a place that we use it all the time. Tell AI all about your event and say, why would a member want to come? What are some different call to actions? People in associations are very tired of seeing register now, click here, join today. It's all about us. It needs to be more about them.
Um, Jessica, I'm gonna send Ashley a note to reach out to you. Ashley is your client success manager, who I'm sure you know. I'll send her a note to connect with you. I saw Brittany did comment on this, but I'll have Ashley reach out to you so you can um, talk to her about how to embed prop fuel into real magnet or forms. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can put prop fuel questions anywhere you want. It's just a different uh, type of campaign. It's called embed campaign. All right, ready for the next one?
Ready.
Event critique. This is from Amanda. All right. I'd like to submit this email. I really like prop fuel for events because people can choose to be removed and not. Yes, I like that. So when somebody says, no, I'm not interested, let's just stop nagging them. Stop bothering them with it. And by the way, when they're registering, once they've registered, maybe we can remove them to like, no need to keep selling something to somebody that already bought it.
Mhm.
Um, I struggle with formatting. Yep. Especially for the topic highlights. I get that. And this is also where I would suggest that we don't worry about. I mean, I know uh, you probably have certain things that you're struggling with formatting. I would suggest simple is better in
Yeah.
most prop fuel emails, not in HubSpot or in forms. We're competing for attention, and we want to in HubSpot or in Forms or Real Magnet, it's sometimes the visuals and the layout that capture their attention and get them into it. And Prop Fuel, it's a different tactic. I just want to see how we can make it more valuable. All right, let's take a look. So I don't have the web version of this. So this is what we got. And I do have some comments. Why don't you go first, Amber?
Yeah, I just think there's a lot of things before you get to the call to action. So my eye is drawn to the first register now, but then I see a yes, maybe no at the bottom, and then there's a links ahead of that. again, just everything we should be doing is pointing them to the singular call to action that we want them to do, hopefully. Now, if this is like your very first email, I get the registration schedule, travel info, poster, competition links. I would just put them at the bottom. I like to put those links at the bottom. People know where to find them, and if they would need quick links to learn more, they can do that.
Phyllis, I like your point about instead of things like renew now, register
Mhm.
now, using phrases like I'll be there, count me in. Um, who is that email guru that's has spoken at some of
Jay
these?
Schwenenson.
Yeah, what is it? Jay Schwendelson?
Yep.
So Jay had an email recently where he was talking about using different words for buttons. Like in this scenario, yes, maybe no. No, there might be different phrases we can use. And apparently that makes a difference.
Yeah. Yeah,
I never would
absolutely.
I would never
It,
guess that, but apparently it does.
It makes a huge difference. One of the big things we talk about all the time is just A/B test those. If you're not sure, you're like, I think people are gonna hate I'll be there. A/B test it and prove that it does work. But things like stay connected, show me how instead of download. I want a free course, stay connected, show me, access my account, like all the different things. There's just other ways of what do they actually want to do and A/B test it to see what's working.
All right, we're doing pretty well on time.
Here,
We have one more
we
after
got one
this,
more though.
and then I want to make some comments about this. I got one more after this, and then if we have time, I want to show you a couple that I think are really, really good from our collection of clients. All right, so Amanda, I think you said in your email, or maybe in our exchange over email the past few days, you said this is performing worse than the broadcast version of it from years ago. Different time periods might have a different result, but here's why. The question is secondary. This in fact might be third or fourth area. The question is not the call to action here. So you start with this giant header. Uh, it's really really nice. And it's actually pretty informational. Has the date and location. Yet you repeat the date and location here. Like, let's get rid of some of this stuff. You have the title again, meeting topic. So I think because the header is so good, you can eliminate a bunch of this information. Now, these links here are probably what's getting most of the clicks. So you're putting all this information, and then down at the bottom of the email, there's a question. So yes, this is not going to get much interaction. At this point, people have already either clicked on something or moved on. So if you got to figure out what is it that you want people to do? And I think you're using prop fuel in this scenario like a broadcast system. I would suggest you eliminate all of this, including the registration schedule, all this stuff. Topics in gen. This is interesting. I think maybe cut back on this. Get rid of the speaker bio. Maybe put the speaker's title. I don't know. I could go back and forth on this, but we need the question to be more prominent if that's what you want people to do.
Exactly. If that's what they need. What's the point but purpose? And Amanda, you said the header, what if the header doesn't download? They won't see it. This is a
Oh,
strategy play all the
yeah.
time. So if one, you need to evaluate what your sector is. I'm sorry, I don't know what ACP is, but if you're in healthcare, you're in law, you're in
Physicians.
high education. Okay, if you're
Yeah,
physicians,
medical.
that's one of them. So you might not want to make those types of headers then. Maybe your headers are very simple. They are the ones with just a logo and some nice design in them. Like when we're working at the American Physical Therapy Association, because yeah, most of those time those big headers do not download. So then your header becomes simple and then you have the text below it. Or just always have your view and web browser button accessible, and then they'll see it. People in healthcare, higher education, law, they are comfortable with clicking the view and web browser because they want to see pictures too. It's not just from your association. They have this problem with everyone that comes through their email
Yeah,
box.
Amanda, if you're measuring the response rate as compared to the click-through rate from the previous, yes, that you will see a dramatic improvement in the response rate if you move this up to the top and you make it the primary call to action. All right, Randy. So Randy says, attach email like we used last year to kick off opening registration for a fall conference. Good. Let's jump in.
Mhm.
So this was, I think this was in Word when you sent it. So I'm not sure if this was actually the final email or if this was a draft. Um, but regardless, we're going to treat it like it was the final email. Of course, this is the top and this is the bottom over here. You know what I'm going to say right off the bat.
What we're both
TLDR,
gonna say.
right? Like,
Yes.
just like an immense amount of information.
Yeah.
There's
When I first saw
zero
this, I thought
chances
it
of
was a
reading this.
no before you go email. I thought this was the last one. I have registered. I need to know where I'm staying. I need to know first glance. Once you read it, I was like, oh, it's not. It's a lot of info right off.
Oh, no, before you go. So, but yeah, right. So you're
It's
saying
not.
this kind of deal would be good for somebody that registered. If they
Mhm.
registered, good. Let's give them all the
Yep.
information.
You do want to have one extensive email right before your annual meeting. You want people to have all the stuff. That is the email they're going to keep on hand when they're in the taxi driving the conference center and they need to remember where to go, what to download, what the Wi-Fi password is, all that stuff. That is the place for these long emails. But right out off the bat, yeah, simplify. Your emails need to just inspire them to click through, and your website should be the one that's pulling through all the info. So they're curious via your email, and then on the website they're getting the rest of their answers and they're converting.
Randy, respectfully, I will say this also makes my brain hurt because just so many different fonts and colors and like so this is bigger and brown and it's in here twice, so that's important. And then but this is red and underlined and this is highlighted. Of course I think that's
Yeah,
going to be the
it's
link.
probably a button, but
And this is a
mhm.
different font and this is purple, so that makes it more important, the venue. But yeah, we gotta cut. I think your call to action is we want them to register. I would argue the best approach here would say, let's get their intent on whether or not they plan to come. And if they do, we can nurture them to get to the point where they actually register. Because sometimes they plan to come, but they're not going to register quite yet for whatever reason. Or if they're not going to come, let's find out why not. Like, why aren't you joining us? Is it the location? Is it the content? Is it a budget thing?
Yeah.
The conference overview, yes, just too much stuff. You can figure out what you want to cut from this initial email, but by all means, I would recommend cutting. It looks like you said this was last year. So for this year, love to help you with it if you're interested. But again, I'm a huge fan of the asking for intent.
Similar. And I would also say, from a staffing perspective, you're giving them the whole enchilada. Like, what do you say on your next two, three emails to get them to nurture to it? Like, I think that's the other thing is staff time is limited. So when we can start off on our first email that's a little bit simpler and just like, we're so excited. Everyone that's come before is going to love it. They're going to be the first ones to register. What are you saying then on email number two, three, four that's nurturing them? You need those conference courses and that other info that you put in that one. You want to just highlight those things, all the things that might pull them in. Don't waste it all in one email. Save
All right.
yourself some time.
Couple more minutes. Let's do what I'd like to do is show you a couple emails that I think are really, really good. I use these in webinars all the time, so you guys may have seen some of these. ASAE, this is one of their new and renewing member questions is what's most important to you as you manage your career this year. And if here, I'll blow this up a little. And if and this is the example I use all the time. If somebody says getting or preparing for my CAE, now we talked to them about that, and 13% of people said that in this scenario. So getting or preparing for my CAE, the next step is 3 months later, it checks in with them and says, "Hey, how you doing?" And you could actually you could connect with them throughout their entire process. You could have a whole nurturing campaign to help people through the process, depending on where they are in the process of getting their CAE. I mean, talk about awesome personalization. If somebody's getting their CAE, let's help them with that process. That's personalization, and that can be 100% automated. But we need to find out. We need to ask them questions and get their intent. Now, in this scenario, I also love this. So this was back in the day. It looks like um, Amy was at ASAE and this person said, yeah, so the question was, how can we best support you in this process? And basically, the person says, I'm a single mom. It's really hard for me to travel. You know, there's just so many CEUs you got to get. I think it's like 100 hours for your CAE. And Amy says, I get it, man. I've been in your shoes before. Like that's talk about compassion. Like what an amazing dialogue with somebody that is saying they're struggling and need help. And if at the very least, it's just somebody to hear them out for a minute. And then she comes back later and says, Yep, I did it. And all that started with this.
Mhm.
How cool is that? This goes out to
Mhm.
like, I don't know how many thousands of members. And this leads to this exchange. So cool.
Which is the most important thing. Mm.
But this is I really like this one too. Robin just put this new member onboarding campaign together, and I'll stop here. And Amber, if you've got anything else to say, you're up next. But I like what they did at NPA, National Pace Association. Very simple. There is a link because the only thing more important than answering this question is logging in to them. That's why they put that there. It's very simple. It's beautiful, and it's simple to read. I think this is a near perfect new member onboarding campaign. How can we help you? And depending on what you click on, it gives them different pieces of information. Yes, this is a lot of information with a lot of links, but it's very relevant to
Mhm.
what it is they want. We start with email and then a landing page with all the information they can eat as it relates to that. And then, of course, they send another email with that information in case they want it for later. All right. Uh, Amber, anything
Yeah,
you
I would
want
just
to?
say, as a former association staff running email, like I get the challenges that we face all the time, attempting to get emails out the door and the external factors that don't let you do what you really wish and hope you could do. But I think just the little wins is what makes a big difference. When you can simplify the language, when you can make sure the call to action is very clear and it relates to the member, and any way that you can showcase that you know your member and you understand them, that's the most critical thing because they appreciate it, and that's what an association's for. They want a community of people that get them. And
Oh,
so I
please
love it.
don't critique this slide.
I was gonna say
This is the worst slide I think
we're
we've
not
ever.
very good at this. Don't critique our Canva
Those
work at the moment.
those links are thank you. Thank you, Brittany. Thank you very much. So there they are. If you're interested, there's a conversational engagement ebook. It's actually this I think this is one of our best resources in terms of understanding how conversational engagement works. And then Amber's email design best practices document if you want to receive
Mhm.
that.
Yeah,
Those are links there. Guys, this is really fun for us. I hope it was valuable and I hope we weren't too critical. Um, but that was the point, wasn't it?
yeah.
Please
It's
reach out
to
if there's
provide
any.
feedback. We love doing this. If you ever want to send an email my way and want more input, by all means, we do this all day, every day, and I love doing it.
If there's anything we can do for us, for you, you know where to reach us. Thank you for
Mhm.
joining us. Bye,
Yeah.
everybody. Have a
Thank
great
you. Have a good one.